So, good time to just relax into your body. Take a few nice deep breaths. Relax your hands, your feet. Relax your face, your neck. Just let yourself sink into the chair. Let it hold you. Let it just be holding you. And let your body just be in this one place at this time, in this beautiful energy, in this energy of love and support, in this energy of possibility and the freedom of knowing that there are limitless potentials for you. Let that resonate inside of you. There are limitless potentials for me in this moment and in every moment. Just like there is limitless love for you. Like the limitless love that surrounds us right now. And let that in with each breath. Breathe in that love and the deservingness that comes with it, right to you, right to the core of you. You are love. You were brought here to be love and to radiate love from the inside out and to receive love from the outside in. So from that place of purity and love and receiving, we receive this beautiful message from Kryon.
Greetings, dear ones. I am Kryon of Magnetic Service. These are the moments where my partner steps away. A steady stream of consciousness called channeling is what you hear. We've given many messages about many subjects. This particular message may not be that profound or that long, but it's going to be explanatory. In order for me to do this, I want you to relax for a moment. Dear ones, there is a benevolent system for the souls on the earth. It's a system of honor and love. In this new energy, it is almost like you have given permission to enhance your lives, to have the clock go faster. Perhaps to have things happen in a faster way than they normally would. This is not an unusual situation, but the energy of today will create those kinds of things you didn't expect. I want to talk about wild cards. What they are, what they mean, who they've been, some of them. But in order for this explanation to be understood and accepted and beautiful, you're going to have to do some pretending. If you were coming from another planet to observe your history without emotion, I can tell the story. But as I tell this story about wild cards, both for your grandfathers, for you, there often is emotion involved. There's bias involved. I will say one thing, you will hear another. It can't be that way. Warning, what comes has to be disengaged from what you think you know, from the emotions of who you are or what you think has happened. Even from that which is historical. You're aliens coming from another planet. You're pretending. And history will be told to you about a race you're not part of. So you have no attachment to anything. And that is how you're going to have to see this lesson in order to fully understand the beauty of a system that pushes you when you need to be pushed. Wild cards. Difficult to define. They can be events. They can be inventions. They can involve one human or a few. They can be one of many things, many of one thing. But they follow a timeline that you can look at. We want to talk about some of the wild cards that you have had and the attributes that you might not have thought of. We're going to do some of the numerology as we go and take a look at the energies that foretell not what's going to happen, but the energy of what is. Numerology is something that sets an energy standard. And when you see what we will call synchronized numerology, where there are the same numbers in several places, it's very telling. You're from another planet. You've come here to hear the story of some of the wild cards in the history called Earth. Dear Kryon, you might say, does Spirit create wild cards? Answer, no, you do. Dear Kryon, does that mean that we create them where they weren't there before, or do we create them by opening a door to allow them? Number two, your consciousness at a certain point in time gives an allowance for a wild card. Define wild card, Kryon. This is a partial explanation. A wild card is an invention, a person, a thing, an event, which changes the planet. If it's an invention, it has to be outside of the purview of what would normally have occurred through the evolution of science. It has to be a paradigm shifter. And it's usually from one person. And when you see that, you will know there is a wild card. Sometimes it's an event, unexpected, completely and totally, that changes everyone. So it isn't always a person. It isn't always an invention. Sometimes it's collective. Oh, but you can tell. Because in every single wild card, it takes everybody by surprise. You've had a number of them. I'll list a few so you'll get the idea of what we speak of. You'll also get to see sometimes a system of singularity when it comes to inventors. Let's talk about Tesla. Tesla is a wild card. So unexpected were his ideas and his concepts that even to this day, those in electronic engineering will take a look at what he invented and say, how is it possible for any one person to have seen that? If you study alternating current, it's a conundrum. phase relationships, it's a conundrum. All of the electric engineers look at this and they will say, this is brilliant beyond brilliant. It was Tesla. And what you know about him is that's what he brought to you. Now, what brilliant mind like that would have other things, don't you think? And he did. And you might say, well, where are those? They were stopped cold, all of them. He only was able to promote the one thing that you needed. And the brilliance of his mind that had all of the other things was unable to proceed. Let me take you to his workshop for a moment. If you look around, he's not here. And if you look around, there's something odd. You'll see his ceiling, and there are big pockmarks where things took off of his bench and hit the ceiling. Because he had phasic displacement. He knew what it was. He could decide to put objects in certain places. It wasn't anti-gravity. It was designed gravity. It was mass with a design. He knew it. He saw it. Frustration was that he didn't have the computers and the tools to be precise enough to make it work on a regular basis. That's just one. It would not have been correct at the time for that to have been presented to humanity. You weren't ready. But you were ready for the electricity. This inventor died frustrated, poor, in a hotel room. Wasn't even his own. He came to do one thing, and he passed. This is very common. The other wild cards that have come in have another commonality, that the earth was ready for a specific invention. And they were the ones to get credit. But it was the invention that was the wild card, and not them. I'll give you some examples. The Wright brothers. Isn't it odd to you that it wasn't that long ago that you got powered flight? Dear ones, the Chinese have been flying kites for thousands of years. Don't you know that they knew the dynamics of the bird? Do you think that century after century after century occurred and nobody ever figured this out? 2 bicycle makers figured it out. That's odd enough. But the fact that they only beat the French by 2 weeks, now that is odd. It's almost like the invention that was ready to be given to the planet was given as a wild card at that time. And if they had not done it, meaning the Wright brothers, others would have. It's almost like the inventions were given at the same time, and the ones who got it first were the ones who got the credit. So let me tell you about the brothers, and it's historical. All they did was what you see at Kitty Hawk. They never went past, really, wing warping. They never went to the ailerons. They never went to flight which made sense. It stopped there. Dear ones, one of them even reported committed suicide. Dysfunction, sorrow. And they died without ever being able to have that beautiful invention developed, and others took it. They came to do what they did and move on. This is more common than you know with wild cards, especially when it comes to inventions that change this planet. Not concepts, but inventions. Who invented the radio? No one knows. Marconi? Oh, he got credit for it. Right time at the right place. But because of the dissension Did he invent it or not comes from the fact that 5 others invented it in almost the same day. Was he first or was he one of many? An invention that was ready to be invented, that the earth was ripe and ready for, was delivered to the consciousness of the planet at the right time. And those who were receiving got the invention. I'm giving you things to think about. We have told you that there are inventions in the future, one in particular that you will not receive until the time is right. It's almost like there's a thinking ceiling on what you can do, and it will not be done. We even gave you some of the attributes. We're not concerned that you'll do it in advance, because we know the wild card is coming, and invention is coming. We told you what it would be. We said it would be the ability finally to see quantum fields. And if you could do that, it would rewrite physics as you know it. You'd see the patterns. There would be the big aha. You'd be able to work with that which shows itself perfectly instead of being in the dark or invisible or something you have to smash atoms to find out. It would be right there in front of you. Massless objects would be easy if you could see the patterns. It would reinvent the wheel practically. And we said it would be the wild card invention of the century. Not free energy. Oh, that's just coming normal. And then there are those who say, well, why can't we have it now? What is stopping it? And then we told you, it's too easy to weaponize. When you reach the point where you won't weaponize it, it's yours. And this is coming. It's natural. It will come when it's time. Just like the Wright brothers, just like Tesla, just like Einstein. Einstein, a genuine wild card, was not a quantum thinker. But what he presented is still alive and well today, and they're still looking inside the atom for the concepts he gave you. So I will make this statement. Einstein isn't finished yet, because the very concepts that he continues to have received from his work is going to be applied to the invention of the century. So the Einsteinian principles, even though they are not quantum, will be very much involved in what is coming. You might say he was a wild card and continues to be, unlike the other ones who simply gave you something that was developed by others. He gave you a concept which lasts and lasts and lasts. And then there was World War II. Disengage your emotion. You've come in from another planet to look at this. World War II was not a wild card. The man who created it was. Nobody expected it. How could it happen this way? And it was the most despicable old energy card that played itself exactly as it should have with the consciousness of this planet. You had just finished World War I, and World War II was an extension of one. You did it again. Only this time the weapons were getting bigger. Rocketry was yours. World War II, it wasn't the wild card. It was the man, and you know who I speak, who was the wild card. The wild card killed millions of people. Despicable, it showed the dark side of humanity more than you had ever seen before. It almost targeted the demise of civilization had they won. One man created such a wild card that when it was over, the entire world took a breath. And for a moment, there was a glimmer of realization, this cannot go on. And then it began. Without the one man, you would not have the European Union, you would not have the United Nations, you would not have the attempt at unity. Without the one man and all of the lives involved, you would never have what you have today. Disengage from your logic. It was not created by spirit, dear ones. This is the dark side at its worst, showing itself, having free rein, and the world objected. It was the beginning, literally, over half a century ago, of what you're starting to see now. The shift that you're in is something that goes slow. It didn't happen all at once. It was the beginning of something else. You have the Cold War. It was a natural occurrence out of a consciousness that was part of World War II. And then the Soviets fell over. The Cold War wasn't going to continue. It couldn't. Dear ones, that was a wild card as well. The wild card that had to happen, because the intent that you had after World War II, the sigh collectively that you took as the human race that said this will not happen again, could then not personify itself in World War III. It couldn't. It absolutely could not. The consciousness here said no. And it ended. That was a wild card. It changed everything. It was unexpected. Nobody saw it coming. That is what a wild card is. It changes everything. It may not change it the way you want it, right away. But it creates that which you have to move because it changed. My partner talks about the field, a benevolent physics that wants harmony. That in this new energy that you call the shift is more powerful than ever before. It's simple physics. It's the law of harmony, if you wish. It's entrainment. And this is now what you're looking at, is that whatever happens here, wherever you think it's going, I want you to remember that the field is pushing it in ways that you cannot see or understand or know about. And then there was Steve Jobs. He's a wild card. What he did has nothing to do necessarily with technology. It had to do with the paradigm of music, how you treat the communications that you have and what is possible and what you can do. A wild card. Some ask, is this Tesla returned? No, dear ones, Tesla is back to do something else later. Steve Jobs did basically one thing, and then he died. Do you see any kind of connecting of the dots to some of the inventors and come and give you the one thing that they were supposed to come for, and no more? If he had lived, would there have been more? Yes. You're not ready for it. Consciousness has to support what happens. No emotion. You're in the classroom. You've come from another planet. And you're looking at the end of 2016. And there is the election. 2016. Let's do the numerology. 9. The end. 9 is completion. And when you see a 9, it often means it's the completion of something. Often it is of a time cycle, an energy. It's the completion of a paradigm, but it's very strong. The nines are stronger than many of the other numerological aspects. And you feel them. You talk about the president. The wild card who was elected will be the 45th president. What a coinky-dinky. It's a 9. A 9 and a 9 together, elected in a 9 year as the 9 president. I will tell you, this is a wild card that is not finished yet. There is more coming. You don't know what you don't know. Don't make up your mind in advance, one way or the other. You're from another planet. There's no emotion. There is no emotion. There's no bias. There's no policy. There's no politics. Nothing. Just look at it for what it is. A big stick has been inserted and it's going to be turned. And as the big stick turns, other things will respond and happen that never would have happened before. I tell you, dear one, old soul, I want you to relax with the wild cards. They do what they do on purpose so that you will have a better civilization in the future. That is the message. It's so common for you to respond. And the knee-jerk reaction is exactly that. Even if it's in joy or sorrow or frustration, you're from another planet and you're looking down and you're seeing it. Isn't that interesting? A 9 and a 9 together. That means it's going to be the end of something. It's going to be the end, perhaps, of the old way things were done. What is new? Don't make up your mind where it's going. Don't dare make up your mind where it's going. It's not finished yet. And that's what we want to tell you. Can you relax in the face of uncertainty when it's your own country? Can you relax in the face of not knowing what's next when you're so involved? That is the test of a light worker. That's the old soul who can take a breath and go, this is going to be interesting to watch. And have no vested interest in fear or frustration. You're from another planet. You're looking down. There is no energy. There is no emotion. It just is. That's the history of the most recent wild cards. Yes, we left some out. Some were simply the development of natural science. The invention of DNA, the atomic bomb. They were not wild cards. That's you in a normal evolution of science. No. We're talking about the real unexpected things. There are more coming your way. Without emotion, without anything, can you see the benevolence of a system that cares enough for you that it gives you wild cards? No emotion. Can you see the beauty of a system that loves humanity so much that they will allow for things to change fast instead of taking another 3 generations? Can you see the plan that winks at you, that smiles at you, that says, hang on, this is the new energy. This is the shift. Don't let anything surprise you. That's the lesson that you got from space today. Now you can come back. Are you frustrated? Are you elated? Doesn't matter. I will tell both sides it isn't done yet. There's something coming. Dear ones, this is beautiful. No matter what you say, no matter what you think, don't send my partner letters. The beauty is when you step away and see how grand this is that Spirit cares enough that it would put a stick in and stir it. How do you feel? I want you to relax and smile and know this is not unexpected, not really. That is the message of the day. It's beautiful, really, to think that you're cared enough about so the change would be pushed forward and you'll know things you didn't know before. I'm crying in love with humanity for good reason. And so it is.